Morning, everybody. It's time for Forward Live, and I'm back to my current subject matter where I'm teaching a series on the four pillars of wealth from the book NeuroWisdom. Put this up here so everyone can see. Make sure you get this book because this book is going to help you out. It will help you develop your brain to develop wealth. And honestly, people will say, money doesn't buy happiness. But in the first part of this series, motivation, we talked about how money is actually a predictor of happiness because the wealthiest people in the world are generally the happiest people in the world. And the people who have a net worth of over $500,000 tend to be among the happiest people in the world. And again, you say money doesn't buy happiness, but I'll tell you what, money will buy some of the things that will contribute to your happiness. And that's a start. So again, the four pillars of wealth are motivation, decision making, creativity, and awareness. And so this week we're talking about creativity, the third pillar of wealth. Now, if you know anything about furniture, you know that a one-legged stool doesn't work unless you have tremendous balance. The same thing with a two-legged stool. It doesn't work unless you have tremendous balance. A three-legged stool, on the other hand, can work. And it can work without balance, assuming that architecturally and structurally that it is sound enough to support the weight that it's carrying. So this basically is the third pillar of wealth, and it's also the thing that will get you, it'll get your brain conditioned into something that will support a wealth building paradigm. Okay, so I want to start off with this. Someone told me this once, and I've made this one of the mantras of my life. He who solves problems gets paid, or she who solves problems gets paid, or they or them that solve problems get paid. I'm going to get the pronouns right. But the bottom line is that if you are a problem solver, if you are a troubleshooter, you'll find a path to wealth. And in order to solve problems, you have to employ creativity. And creativity is just simply this. This is the essence of the human being. And here's the thing. In religion, people will say people want to be creative because they're mimicking their creator. Well, I don't necessarily believe in a creator, but I do believe that human beings are creative, and I also believe that because we are creative, we believe that there should be something that created us, and so on and so forth. And so you get this infinite loop. And I want to break that cycle because the reality is that we don't know whether or not there is a creative force, and there is enough chaos in the universe to disabuse the notion of any creator. Okay, but again, that's getting off into the weeds. I want to stick to what we're doing here. And again, creativity. Once you have your basic needs met, that basically your motivation is your why. I always start with why, because if you don't start with why, your who, what, when, where, and how will all be fucked up. Okay, so you want to start with why. So you get your motivation right, and then you go through a decision-making process because you have to decide on how you're going to express your motivation and how you're going to achieve that which motivates you. Now, creativity is the how, because this is where you think about, what do I need to do? Now that I made a decision to attain wealth, what do I do to attain wealth? And here it is. Everyone Every human being has some talent or ability. And there are some that have multiple talents and abilities. But what I want to focus on is the one thing. What is the thing for you? Years ago, I had a friend in high school. He was a bass guitar player. And he practiced. And I remember, dude, his fingertips on both hands, from his fretting hand and from his, thumping and slapping hand, that it was his fingers, his thumbs, they were just, bloody, raw. But he kept going. And he was constantly cleaning his guitar or cleaning his bass, cleaning it so because of all of the blood and the skin that was on this thing. It was really kind of gross. But the point is that he was dedicated to honing his craft so that he could be creative. And so for most of our adult life, he's been one of the most sought after studio musicians in the world, because he's one of those guys that's able to just come in and consistently jump in, get it done. Okay. I have another friend who was an automobile designer. He was one of the chief designers of the Pontiac Fiero, if any of y'all remember that. But when we were kids, we used to draw pictures of cars, and while I was really good at drawing cars. My man was good at drawing everything. I mean, everything. And he was so motivated. It was like basically he would wake up in the morning and he'd have an idea and he'd sketch it out. And then during the day, he'd have different ideas and he sketched them out. He kept one notebook that he did nothing but sketching in. And he honed his craft until he was able to be one of the best stylists in the automobile industry. The point I'm getting at is that if you are creative, you'll find basically creativity paves a path to the doorstep of your financial destiny. Let me say that again. Creativity paves a pathway to the door of your financial destiny. He who solves problems, she who solves problems gets paid. Okay. Another thing is, and here's creativity comes in the form of artistry. What we consider to be art, music, drama, poetry, writing. Those are things that we consider to be creative, but there are creative things in other areas. For example, a plumber may create a creative way of flowing water from a home to a sewage drain. And if he's able or she's able to patent that process, then that's something that's creativity that creates wealth, right? Because it one makes you known for your craft. That's another thing, is that creativity will also help you become recognized as a pioneer or a leader in your field. There are other things, carpentry. Matter of fact, let me even get more deeper into the wheel, or deeper into the subject here. Imagine someone who is into cleaning services, janitorial, right? Imagine if that person comes up with creative solutions for cleaning offices or cleaning industrial areas. That creativity will make that person known as a pioneer or an innovator in their field, and they become in high demand. I mean, it doesn't have to be creativity in the areas that we've been conditioned to believe creativity manifests. It doesn't necessarily have to be art. You don't have to be the great dancer or the great singer or the great actor or the great writer. Creativity manifests itself in so many different ways. Fashion design, that's another thing. Or not even fashion design, just how you wear it. Social media is full of influencers who have built their reputation on how they put an ensemble of clothing together. In other words, they didn't make the clothes, they didn't make the textiles. They didn't create the marketing campaign or anything. All they did is they have used the creativity in their minds to put these ensembles together in such a way that they are attractive to multiple people and they begin to influence fashion trends. You see how it works? Creativity expresses itself in so many different ways. There are some people who they are creative in how they use words. One of my favorite authors, writers, pundits, and a lot of my liberal friends will hate me for this, but it's William F. Buckley. William F. Buckley was brilliant in his word use, and then if I can circle that into something modern, Jon Stewart, the former Daily Show host, who's doing another thing on, I think, on HBO now. But Jon Stewart is brilliant. His use of words. Bill Maher is another one. He's brilliant. Dave Chappelle here's the thing. Like people like Chappelle, he's known for his comedy, but I think that his comedy succeeds because of his wordplay, because he understands the definition and the proper cadence of words, and that creativity helps him to be successful. There is so much that you can do to basically express your creativity. Here's the thing. What is it that, I mean, you look at something. We all look at things that are going on in the world. We look at politics. We look at religion. We look at media. We look at art. We look at science, medicine. We look at all of these different things. And so you have to ask yourself, among these things that I see, that I observe, what am I motivated to change? And when I'm motivated to change, how do I make a decision to bring my motivation to pass? And then how do I effect a creative solution to the problem that I'm observing? And when you put all of this together, you're going to find that there are people out here that have built these web-based businesses where they're selling on Amazon. And what they've done is they've created new ways of marketing, new ways of merchandising. And these things are creating wealth for the people who create the systems. There are people who come up with a different way of seeing things. I have a couple of friends on Facebook, and again, I'm not calling out names in this particular podcast, but they have simply different ways of looking at spirituality, different ways of looking at metaphysics, different ways of looking at how we express ourselves in a non-physical sense. And what's happening is that their renown and recognition is going up and up and up. And eventually, these people will be able to monetize the content that they've developed. And creativity, because they've created a different way of looking at the situation, looking at the problem, this is going to help them create wealth. I mean, I can go on and on with this, but one of the things that I do, and this is me personally, and I'll be honest, I tend to be a little scatterbrained when it comes to creativity, because there are so many things that I would like to do. I'm looking across the room. I have a couple of musical instruments here. I have some guitars over here, and I mess around with the guitar. I just bought a book on piano chords. I'm going to buy a piano soon for my family to use, and I really want to learn to play. My son Anthony started playing piano, and he was really good at it. He just kind of found other things that captured his interest, and that's that's kids, right? But and I think really like when it comes to creativity, I tend to be more like my my kids. I tend to be a little flighty because last week I did some sketches, or actually a week before last I did some sketches. I just sat down and drew a couple of pictures of cars because I felt like doing it. Yesterday I went to an art supply store because I realized that in all of my drawing tools, my pencils, pastels, charcoals, French curves, squares, and triangles, and all of that, all of these, and I have all of this stuff. I realized I didn't have a compass. So I went out yesterday and got a compass because I have an idea for some artwork that I want to do, but it's going to require some circles and also some arcs that I don't want to freehand. I want to do them with an instrument. And so I went and bought a compass. And that's the other thing too. When you don't know what it is that you want to do, try different things. And I think that's what I'm trying to get at here, because I also write. I've written one book, and I have several others that are in process. I've contributed to books. I write a blog. All of these things. So I write. I write a lot, and then also I have a couple of classes that I'm doing in coding, writing Python code, and what I'm learning how to do is how to construct an algorithm, because when you understand algorithms, you understand iterative and repetitive processes that can be reused, and again they can be encapsulated and monetized. So that's the thing. And also I believe in collaboration, because I don't know everything and I'm not good at everything. So what I don't know and what I'm not good at, I'll collaborate with someone else who is, and that will help me sharpen what it is that I'm doing, and I will help them sharpen what they're doing, and that together we are stronger than we are alone. The power of community even stretches to creativity. But here's the call to action. Here's the big thing. What is it that you want to do? What is it that you want to do, or what is it that you think you can do? And remember this, that if you think you can, you might, but if you think you can't, you're right. You have to actually attempt something, try something, study people who are doing what it is that you're doing. Follow them. Look at how they hone their process, how they hone their craft, and see if that applies to you. And if it does, great, use that, but also always keep enough room in the paradigm of your actions for innovation. Because innovation is your creativity applied to something. Because you're taking your creativity and you're using it to innovate a process. And if you do that, right, this will help you bring your passion, your motivation to pass. But it starts with doing something. So if you listen to music or guitar music and you say, hey, I like that, but there's something else that I think I could express here. Go buy you a guitar and a guitar lesson book, and maybe even some lessons, and go do it. If sketching is your thing, there are lots of local workshops and classes where people get together and work on just sketching. They work on painting. If you have a flair for household things. There are local classes on staging a home to sell a home. There are classes on how to creatively paint walls or to do flooring. There are classes locally. I mean, it could be your community college. It could be like a community outreach, like a YMCA or something like that. But there are things out there. And what you have to do is you have to take the initiative to go out and find ways to extend yourself to express your creativity. Or you can not do these things. But again, these are 4 pillars of wealth. And again, if you're good at motivation, but not good at decision making, and you lack creativity, then you're basically a one-legged bar stool, and you won't be able to support your financial or the dreams that will lead to your financial destiny. If you are good at decision making, but you're not very motivated and you lack creativity, again, same thing. And next week, assuming nothing comes in to interrupt it like last week, and I want to thank everybody who chimed in, offer their condolences. My friend passed away, and I wanted to make sure that I said something to give everyone their flowers, because life is short. And here's the thing: life is too short not to be creative. Pick up something. Start with a pen and paper. The pen is literally mightier than the sword. Or right now, one of the things that I'm doing, I have this going on right now as we speak. I have 2 picanhas and a tri-tip roast on my smoker. One of my hobbies is smoking meat, and I've gotten really good at it. And so this year, I'm going to look for competitions that I can enroll in, that I can compete in, and see how my craft holds up against others who are similarly gifted to me. So it's something else. I mean, you could be creative in cooking. There's so many things. You can be even gifted at food prep. You can be a sous chef, right? There's so many different things. You can learn to do hair. There are so many things, so many areas where you can be creative. But it starts with starting. There's an old Parliament Funkadelic song that went something like this: shit, goddamn, get off your ass and jam. Because your creativity is only expressed when you express it. So you have to do something. And if you do something, again, he, she, they, them, who solve problems gets paid. And people will say, well, basketball doesn't solve a problem. Music doesn't solve a problem. Actually, it does. It solves a recreational problem. It solves an entertainment problem. Because people are trying to figure out what they're going to do with their free time. So I want to give a couple of shout outs to some people who made comments here as we were doing this live. My man, Jimmy Ligon, he says, hey, brother, make sure that you guys check out Jimmy every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central Time, where he does the Unreligious Facebook Live podcast. And Tracy says, thank you, Derrick, and crocheting and making frosting today. You see, creativity. Jimmy makes beats. And he does like hip hop kind of stuff. He's a very creative guy. And of course, he does the Unreligious podcast. So in the comments below, tell me what it is that you want to create. And here's the other thing too. If you have a desire to create and you don't know where to start, hit me up in the comments. I would love to help you, because even if I can't help you with your creative interests directly, I can point you in the direction of someone who can. And you'll get the help that you need, because and I'll tell you something else, that creative people tend to be among the happiest people because they don't have things pent up inside. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some people, like I always think about Kurt Cobain. What an amazing talent, but he had so much sadness in him that I believe that if he didn't have the music, he wouldn't have lasted as long as he did. And I'm grateful for him expressing his music, because his through his music, his spirit lives on forever, right? So that's the other thing too about creativity, is creativity helps you to leave a legacy. You'll leave something behind that people will remember you for long after you're gone. And that's a really beautiful thing. Everybody talks about they want to be immortal or everlasting life, but here's how you do it. Create something that people will remember you by. Because of course, when in your demise, your family, your loved ones, people that are close to you, your friends or whatever, co-workers, they're going to love you. They're going to remember you. They're going to think fondly of you, but it'll be, for everyone outside of your family, it'll be brief. It'll be fleeting. But everybody remembers Picasso. Everybody remembers Van Gogh. Everybody remembers Prince. Everyone remembers Michael Jackson. Nat King Cole. People still remember Nat King Cole. People remember his daughter, Natalie Cole, because they, through their creativity, left a legacy that outlived them. And that's what you want to do. Create something that outlives you. And I promise you that if you express your creativity, you will be a happier person. And so the thing is, the 4 pillars of wealth also could be called the 4 pillars of happiness. So next week, tune in where we talk about awareness. Also, don't forget to tune in next Friday for Phreology Friday, where Aaron and I will be joined by my friend and brother, Daryl Rivers. That's going to be absolutely off the chain. So you don't want to miss that. So Phreology Friday next week with me, Aaron, and Daryl Rivers. And also make sure you check out Ben and Ben Urban and Daryl Carlson tonight, and Ben and Daryl Live. And that's at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Or is it 8 p.m. Eastern Time? Now I forget. But they'll be on tonight, and you don't want to miss that. So until the next time, may you be happy, may you be well, and may you be filled with peace. Thank you for attending my TED Talk. Peace.